Hello farmers and aspiring farmers, thank you for tuning in to yet another informative edition of your program. Today we are coming to you from Triloni TTC in Mashonaland West, where we are looking at cattle production, general management, the activities that normally take place during this time of the year. We are headed into the festive season, and as such in Zimbabwe, that is where we receive our rainfalls. So as such, you need to make sure that you have experts, you have those who are already in the industry educating you and keeping you afloat in terms of the education and the knowledge that you require to be successful in your venture. Today I'm going to be joined by Colin Langton of Langton Cattle Company here in Triloni. Stay tuned. At this point in time, we are standing in front of a herd of Heifers. They are going to be available for viewing on the 26th November, but the sale will commence at 11 a.m. 28 November. Now, Colin, as we are standing here, maybe a brief synopsis of this herd that is going to be at the CC sales.
This herd of Heifers comprises yearlings and rising 2s and 2-year-olds, pregnant, and then the larger 2-year-olds with the green tags, and the other yearlings obviously not. But there's a market for everyone. There's Heifers for everyone. There are Appendix A's, which is your first cross boron, Appendix B's, Appendix C's, and SP's. So it's not just a pedigree auction. There's something for every breeder who wants to start, or just a commercial breeder. We're trying to cater for everyone.
Maybe you might want to highlight some of the desirable characteristics that are within this herd.
So this is a breeding herd. It's a long-term project for guys. We've incorporated a lot of smaller animals, so hopefully it's cheaper for people who want to start off. Yeah, it's a breeding herd. It's not slaughter as the fat stock were, so that's like a short-term project. But this is a long-term for someone who wants to invest in the beef industry, start from scratch, become a breeder, commercial, pedigree, or whatever he wants. And we have well-adapted hardy cattle that are adapted to our environment, and then people can hopefully breed boron, but they can breed whatever bull they want on them.
Now, Colin, as we're standing in here, I can see that in this herd we have freshly branded cattle. What is your system, your mode of system with regards to identification and record keeping? And can you also highlight the processes that then lead? I can see the cattle have 2 tags, a smaller one, a bigger one, a green one, a pink one, then eventually a fresh brand at the thigh. What is your mode or your process that eventually leads to this?
Okay, thank you. So within 4 days of birth, the animals are ear notched. You'll see little clips out of the ears. So that is there because it's a safety forever. If the animal loses its tag or whatever, then ear notch is there. So that gives you the number. Then at the same day, the small tag that you see on these animals on the left hand ear, that corresponds with that ear notch. That is their number and the color of that tag. There's 3 different breeds on this farm. There's Mashona, Boron, and Afri-Zebu. The color pertains to that breed that it comes from. So those are the original, the first ones, because record keeping is everything, especially when it comes to stud, and your integrity of your data is everything. Anyway, that's just the beginning. Then at weaning time, the animals are brought in and they're given this CL. That's the on-farm brand.
Oh, okay.
On-farm brand.
Calling Langton.
Yeah, given the inoculation, yeah, but it's a registered brand with registry in Harare to this farm. And then at the same time, they're given the large tag.
Oh, okay.
The large tag has their complete story there. It has their sire, their dam, and their number in the middle. The sire, we get it back from after we get the DNA verification. So we pull hair follicles from the tail, goes to South Africa, it gets DNA verified, because we run more than one bull in a breeding herd.
Okay.
Multi-sire. So we have to know the sires. Once that comes back, then we'll write on the sire on the tag. Some of these are back and not yet been, but anyway, that is what happens. That is the verification. And then before inspection, at 2 years old, they get branded.
Oh, okay.
Between 1 and 2. And so all those systems, they all have a thread. They're all the same number. So let's say animal 33, born in 24, the year 24.
Okay. Now I understand that there are bigger tags, smaller tags, pink tags, green tags. What is it about in your head?
Okay, so the small tags, the green tags, are the ones that come out of the Mashona herd. The pink tags will come out of the Afri-Zebu herd, and the orange tags on the small tags come out of the Boron herd.
Okay.
Those are the three colors. We use color coding because we were finding we were just doing notching before. When they get to weaning and they're separate from their mothers, especially the Afrizebra and the bronze are very similar looking, and then you could Rasika there.
Now, Colin, with your work with ZBBS, Zimbabwe Boran Breeders Society, you also participate in a bit of inspection at times. Normally, as an inspector, what will you be looking at? I understand that those who are watching might want to also join ZBBS. As an inspector, what will you be looking at and looking for? And what is the frequency of inspection?
Inspections on the larger herds are done annually. On the smaller herds, done every 2 years. Inspection, basically, you're looking for disqualification points, so genetic disorders that can be passed on, like wry mouth, overshot jaw, undershot jaw, skewed tail, skew muzzle, any defects in the male sexual organs. So serious defects that are heritable. You don't want them in the breed. So the animals are submitted at birth, their records, but they stay in calf book. It's called calf book. And then after that, to promote out of calf book into their full status on the herd book, they have to be inspected first. So it's all about breed standards, but it's mainly looking for faults that are genetic abnormalities.
Now, for someone who's going to be purchasing from this herd, normally what would be your recommendations when they take these cattle to his farm or these cows to his farm? His mode of management, what would you want to say from your hands into his hands? What would be your recommendations, given that these heifers are being bought by people who are looking to invest into the business, not to slaughter, not for beef? What would be your recommendations, taking from where you left off?
The first thing I always recommend to my buyers is when you offload, have your own cattle at hand so the animals mix straight into your herd. If you offload an animal, especially young animals, they tend to be more flighty, and they get a fright in a new place, they can run away and cause a big problem on day one. So let's say you buy one heifer or two heifers, I would highly recommend having the rest of the herd there, and you offload them into the herd, they join the herd, and then they move with the herd. Other than that, these animals are very adaptable. I haven't had problems. We've sold into communal areas, we've sold into resettlement areas, A1, A2. I haven't had any problems adapting.
Okay.
So quite good for them. Obviously, if you've had a burnout and there's no roughage available, then roughage, I think, is the most essential thing.
Okay, thank you so much, Colin, for that. On that note, we also have come to the end of the first segment. We're going to go on a short commercial break. We're right back with this and more in the second segment. Stay tuned. Thank you, farmers, for staying tuned to Agricultural New Directions, Agribusiness in support of Vision 2030. And today we are looking at cattle production, coming to you from Langton Cattle Company, where now at this point in time we are standing in a section where we have cattle with their little ones. And Colin here is going to be introducing this section that we are in. Colin, we are here in the second segment. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Yes, a brief synopsis of this section, the age or whatever, what is happening in this section, why have they been put or secluded in a different section?
So these are our very young heifers that are calving. Because we herd our animals, we cannot separate the year-old, the 2-year-old and the 3-year-old. We have them in one herd. Otherwise, we need more labor and more herds. So to simplify matters, we keep the young ones and the 2-year-olds together. So you have animals here that are only 2 and they've calved. Okay, so which is earlier than normal, but we're happy for that. It's part of a selection process of looking for which animals are early maturing and highly fertile. Okay, but because of that, like I say, some of them are still very young to calve, and it's because they run together. And then the other thing we do is we run some bulls together with a group of what we call co-eds, the same age group bulls. So when these animals were bulled, some of them, they were 14 months old. The bulls were also, 18 months, around 15 to 18 months, and the bulls are the same age. Okay, bulls. But look at the calves they gave us. And so, yeah, it's a test also to see which bulls are early maturing. And when the DNA results come, you'll see which bulls are the most active, even as young. Okay, they get the most calves. All right. Then because of the fact that some of them are very young and growing, we have them at this little pasture that we've just created. It's new, and we have feed available for them, hay, silage, and just some help so they can settle down, get used to their calves, and keep growing because it's before the rains. The rest of our herd, the main herd, we calve as the rains start. We don't calve this early because it's a lot of pressure on the animals. Yeah.
Now, your general management style, given that you highlighted the fact that some of the mothers in here, it's their first time, some were bulled at 14 months. So your management style to ensure that there is no mortality or curbing mortality, they are young and here they are dropping some calves. What is your management like at this point in time?
Yeah, well, we watch them when they calve, but in general, very few need assistance. They because of, once again, the indigenous African breeds, sloping rump, which is a larger pelvis, and then like the dairy breeds or the European breeds. And so, yeah, generally they calve with no problem, but we have them under more supervision than the other ones.
Okay, with regards to chemical use, disease control, or some diseases that may cause infertility, miscarriages, etc., what has it been like for you, the chemicals that you were using, or your feeding regimen, your nutrition, to ensure that these mothers can conceive, they can get pregnant? What have you been doing to encourage fertility and conception?
I think the most important thing is after weaning, when they're young, after weaning, during that first winter, keep them growing slowly right through that period. That is a period where the most damage occurs. A calf comes off its mother's milk, it's being absolutely spoiled, and suddenly there's no protein. So in our winters on the Heifers here, they crash a lot. So if you can give them the best grazing, if you have a little bit of a pasture, or if you don't have all that, give them a block or a lick that they will take in, because as young they don't take in licks as easily and readily as the older stuff. So I think that is also very important. Just grow them, keep them growing slowly through the winter. Then when it gets to the next summer, they will conceive, or there will be a higher percentage that will conceive. Yeah.
At what age do you introduce weaning? Do you have any specific techniques that you use here at your farm? At what age, at what size? What are your indicators to say these ones are ready for weaning? Let's take them off the mothers.
Yeah, so weaning, traditionally it's a 7-month-old. That's the traditional time. When we have droughts, and we have pushed the weaning earlier. If there's a drought, if the animals are under pressure, we'll push the weaning earlier, even down to 5 months. We find that is probably the easiest. But even 4 months, we've done that before. But the important thing is the animal has to come off and go on to a very good ration, because it's early. But that's how you save your cow's condition in a drought. Because remember, the aim is to calve every year.
Okay.
All right, that's the aim. We're not just here to have mombies and to look at them and say, these are our pets. They need to give us a return every year. So the way you manage that, because the condition at calving determines when they'll reconceive.
Okay. Now, Colin, looking at these mothers, after you've done your weaning process, at what point would you say they are ready for a bull again? They are fertile enough, they are healthy enough, they are ready to receive another bull, given that you are saying the goal is to calve every year?
Yeah, normally it takes, the average is 2 months for the womb to repair itself and to be ready again. Okay. But what will happen is, if the animal comes on heat into estrus, they'll be mounting each other. And then okay, straight away. But normally it's very hard for young animals, because they're still growing. They're still growing in their body at the same time. So they're notoriously hard to get pregnant again. Yeah.
Okay. Then when it comes to your selection, these calves, deciding these are steers, they are going for pen fattening, these are Heifers and stuff, what is your separation or your techniques that you use to determine the calf after weaning, where it goes, the category it falls under? Do you have any prerequisites or anything that you look at to say this one is going to go there, this one is going to go into this category? Do you have a system in place?
Yeah, obviously we look at breed standards. If the animal doesn't qualify for breed standard, it goes into the commercial. It will be removed from stud to commercial. If there's a crossbreed and another breed bull got in, obviously it goes to commercial. So the higher prices for your stud animals. So you're hoping as many as you can keep in there, but you have breed standards. So we won't lower the standards. We'll keep the standards high, and the ones that don't qualify for whatever reason,
okay,
will be. And then obviously you want, anything that's below average, you want an average. You're happy with an average group, not the highest growers, but the low ones. The poor doers will also be taken out of the system.
You want something in the middle.
But they still run together as weaners. When they're young, they all run together. Then as soon as the sexual hormones kick in, then we'll separate the males and the females. Okay.
Okay. Finally, as we close this segment, Colin, before we go on to the next stage, I want us to look at issues surrounding fertility. Do you have any skills or any techniques or any strategies or any tactics that you use here at Langton Cattle Company to encourage fertility, to encourage mating so that you get more calves? Is there any advice that you would want to say to those who are watching so that you get more calves at the end of each year?
Okay. Fertility, obviously, the multi-sire bulling with more than one bull, it covers a lot of problems, because if let's say you're using one bull and it's not fertile, you have a disaster on your hands. So having multiples covers that base. Also, when you have animals that don't conceive, so what I suggest people do, a bulling season, as hard as it is, it helps you, because it's like you put your cows to the test, and the ones that don't fall pregnant, you kick them out. So you can have a second bulling season where you can give an animal a chance and move it, but the bulling season helps because it helps you to identify the lazy cows, the ones that are not doing what you want them to do. But then the other thing is, don't be sentimental about your cattle. If your favorite one you named, it's my day and whatever, and you've been with it for a long time.
My love.
Yeah, and she goes and skips, you have to color.
Don't hold on or be sentimental.
So that's another thing, you need to lose sentimentality in terms of profit.
Okay.
Yeah. And the best looking cow, the fattest, will not be the hardest worker. The one that looks thinner than the rest is the one that's giving you a calf every year. So remember from that.
Thank you so much, Colin, for that. I like that you alluded the fact that you don't have to be too sentimental to hold on to your cattle and have a relationship, whereas you are running a loss. You have to be flexible and always be ready to pivot. On that note, viewers, we've come to the end of the second segment. We're going to go on a short commercial break. We'll be right back with this and more in the third and final segment. Stay tuned. Thank you, farmers, for staying tuned to Agricultural New Directions, Agribusiness, in support of Vision 2030. We are now standing at a section that we have the bulls that have been put aside. They are still in a group, though they might not want to be there for long. But here, Colin is going to be educating us in line with what his head of bulls entails, a brief background synopsis of this section. Colin, thank you so much for staying with us. We are here in the third and final segment. Just a brief synopsis, introduction of the bulls that we have.
Thank you. Right, basically, to select a herd sire, it's like a three-legged pot. You know those old three-legged pots we used to cook on the fire. If you need the background of the bull, you need the performance of the bull, and then you need is an appearance. So if we go to the background is very important. So what we do is we study pedigrees. We use bloodlines that are tried and tested. Okay. Also, we want the bull to come from good mothers that have survived, been in your herd for a long time. Those are what you look for. So the background is important. Then the next thing is the performance. The bull must perform well. He must be a good grower. We don't want exceptional growers, because do you have the means to support massive animals? I don't think many people have. So you must be an average or above average grower, but perform well, thrive, do well. And then the last thing is his appearance. On appearance, a bull must be masculine. When you look at his head, if you look at any of these bulls, masculinity is a big thing. You look like a bull. Mustn't look like a cow. You mustn't be confused. He must know his gender. So, and we must be able to see it. So how do you see that? On the head. Masculine head, thick neck. Yeah, well muscled. That's general trademark of a bull. And that's how you select a good herd sire. And the old herd sires that I've got here, that have done me very well, and they've bred excellent sons.
Okay, now looking away a bit from a selection of the head sire, the nutrition, you are saying that it must have masculine features, it must have a thick neck, meaning that it feeds more. With regards to nutrition, how has it been like for you, looking at it from a perspective of sustainability, profitability, keeping afloat, maintaining your head? What has it been like for you?
So grass, we are basically, beef farmers are basically grass farmers. So you need to go back to grass. Grass is your cheapest form of nutrition. Okay, if you keep your animals as in a pen fed all year round, you're not going to make anything. So grass is your cheapest form. Go back to grass. So all of us we love standing in front of our cattle and taking pictures of cattle, but we never talk about grass. we're always boasting about Mombi's, but not the grass. Grass is where it starts, where it ends. So I've seriously advise farmers, start studying your grass species, start planning and managing how you graze your grass. Because to continuously graze a paddock day in and day out, you'll lose your best grass species. So we know a lot of people on small hectareages, small farms, then you might have to upgrade your grass to like something like star grass, which is very durable and it's palatable, but it also survives. So the grass is your big thing. How else do you ensure about grass? Fires. Keep your fires out. We fight about 30 fires a year here. Most of them off our farm. Before they get to the farm, we fight them. So that is a big thing. And then another insurance we do is we cut grass and make hay. Because what if everything burns out on this high number we have? So we make hay, and that's a big insurance factor. So it all revolves around grass. That is your cheapest form, and that's how you're going to be most profitable in beef farming, is if for most of the year your animals are eating grass.
Finally, as we close, Colin, with regards to age, on average, how old is your oldest sire, head sire, the youngest, and even generally on average, the weight, the mass?
So on the oldest sire here is MC14 128 Carinus. He's well known in the industry. He's 2014. That's when he was born.
Okay.
So he's now 11 years old.
Okay.
Okay. He's still working. He's fine. His son, the very big bull on the right there, is born in 2018. So so a bull like Carinus, he weighs about 700 to 800 kgs.
Okay.
The other guy here, the big guy, is probably about 900, but around 800 is fine. We don't want them to be bigger because they must be fit for work. If you overfeed them and they a ton and then he can't work, I don't think you've ever seen football players, Ronaldinho and all those guys. They're not massive. They're fit. They're active.
Are lean.
Yeah, and that's how you want your bulls. Obviously, they don't want to be thin. They must be in good condition, but fit.
Okay, performance is what's important.
Yes.
Finally, in a snippet, your word of advice to those who are looking to invest. I know that on picture, on video, it's beautiful to see your bulls. You are saying that the head sire is from 2014. In a snippet, your word of advice to someone who's looking to venture into this business. What would be your recommendations, your sentiments on what you have discovered, what you have learned being in this business for so long?
I would say that you must invest, you must buy as good as you can with your money. So what I'm saying is, don't take shortcuts, because the bull has a massive impact in your herd. In 3 years' time, your herd will be built from the bull you've been using. So if you use a good bull, good quality bull, the best that you can afford, use it, because he will upgrade your cows like him. So if you use a weak bull and he's weak in a lot of aspects, it's a long-term process, and you're going to do a long-term you're going to have a long-term effect on your herd in a negative way. So as good as you can afford, as best as you can afford. And the other thing, if you're a stud breeder, buy a proven bull. I've done that before. Bought a bull that was already 8 years old, but proven. So it's like now someone else has done the homework. You come in and enjoy the benefit. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Colin, for taking your time off of your busy schedule to appear on our platform. It was a pleasure having us today.
Thank you. It was a pleasure being with you today too.
There you had it, viewers. We looked at the Heifers, we had a look at the bulls, general cattle management, and this is what we normally encourage for viewers to tune in and take notes in line with cattle production in Zimbabwe. From me, host Zanai Manyura, I'm also on Instagram, it's at Wadzi110, and the crew behind the scenes. Have yourselves a fabulous evening. Thank you for watching.